Morning. It occurred to me because I'm watching some of my live streams back, right? I'm trying, I'm always trying to refresh my memory of like the various knowledge that I've learned over the last few days or whatever, right? So, what did we have happen? We had like Andrew Yang came out with a new third party and a book deal. We've had the movement for the People's Party trolling most of us since about 2017-ish, maybe. Actually, I think Nick started his bullshit in 2016, but it really started getting going in like 2017, right? I think that's about when it happened. So we've been having these things happen, and climaxing, if you will, over the last few days. I did a live stream talking about how like all the people, all the candidates who dropped out. What we were hearing amongst party contacts is that they were getting calls from Barack Obama and they were like getting deals. Okay, so they ran Yang for he was in the mayoral race in New York. It was de Blasio. I couldn't remember his name when I did the other live stream. I couldn't remember his name, but it was de Blasio that had endorsed Bernie. I don't know that he was actually running. I don't know if he was running or not. I think he might have either termed out or decided to go for something else, right? Okay, so we know that all of these people were convinced to drop out. But you know what? Some of them I think were also convinced to run in the first place, which is why I think Yang was in that mayoral race as well, because a lot of these are spoiler candidates. Because they were testing this theory down here in South OC, where we have 3 districts that converge together that they wanted to flip away from the GOP. So we have 45, 48, and 49. There's also Gil Cisneros, formerly his district. I can't remember the number of his district. He's in North Orange County. But we had 3 down here in the South that went to Katie Porter, Harley Ruda, and Mike Levin. Harley lost his district in the last election, but the other 2 were able to keep their districts. But the way that they were able to flip all that in 2018 is they flooded the race with candidates. And I don't know. I mean, the establishment is kind of like, oh no, it's totally organic. They just wanted to run. But then Fran Sedillo, who is the former party chair of the Democratic Party of Orange County, she made the rounds of the Democratic clubs, because I saw her speak at a couple different clubs, and one of them was the Laguna Woods Dem Club. She started talking about how did we flip these congressional seats, right? And she said the D-Trip-C got involved early and that she was personally involved in recruiting candidates, and she has been ever since. And this is a point of contention amongst some of the locals, because they've done things that have thwarted elections, and we've lost to the GOP as a result of some of these actions. But point being is that they were testing out these theories for years, and I kept saying, well, it was going on in the 2018 cycle. I said, they're doing this because they're testing it out for the presidential run in 2020 to see how they can make sure that Bernie doesn't get in. And I still, in my opinion, I still believe that is the truth, that is what happened, that they were testing out their theories of running multiple candidates so that they could build up lots of different bases of voters, and then they'd have their candidates drop and endorse the heir apparent. And that's what happened in the 2020 cycle. So I think what's happening right now, I can't be positive about this, but I think what's happening right now is that Yang, like I said, he he was one of these candidates who had no hope of actually winning. A lot of them knew this. A lot of them knew that there was no fucking hope that they were going to win, right? They were just in it as spoilers. And then they dropped after getting phone calls. Like, they got some sort of deal, right? So Yang and Buttigieg, they think about it. Really think about it. Like, Buttigieg also ran in the DNC chair race in 2017 and dropped out and endorsed Tom Perez. That was when we were trying to get Keith Ellison in. And they had a lot of candidates that were running for DNC chair that did the same fucking bullshit. That's the first time they did it. They took their cues from the GOP because they saw all of these candidates. They saw the race against Donald Trump and how there was a ton of candidates running on the for the GOP nomination in the 2016 run. So they learned from them. And they took those lessons and tried to hone them and perfect them. This is all my political opinion. People are so happy, y'all. So I'm thinking, I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing, by the way, but I'm thinking that the Democratic Party has finally realized that the Movement for the People's Party is actually a problem, because they keep sending people to all the Central Committee meetings and they're filibustering and they're doing all this bullshit. So I think what they're doing is by having... Oh, that's right. I'm heating up my oven so I can reheat my shepherd's pie. I think what they're doing is they've identified that the Movement for the People's Party is a problem. And so I think they've probably tasked Yang to totally dilute your message, which is fucking great. I think it's great. Okay, so I think that Yang is actually out there to make you look ridiculous. I think that's what he's been recently tasked with. I think that's... I think Yang has been tasked with dividing up your independent party base. I don't think he'll be successful at it, but I don't think Nick Brana is ever going to be successful with his bullshit either. So it kind of doesn't matter. It's more like a soap. It's like watching a soap opera. Do you guys, for those of you who are old enough, do you remember how? Oh crap! I got to pull this out of the oven. Okay, so do you remember how? When the OJ trial was going on, it was like a soap opera every fucking day because they canceled all the regular soaps, and we ended up watching the OJ trial every day for like a year and a half because they canceled all the regular soap operas. I kind of feel like this can go in for a bit longer because last time I did this, it didn't come out warm enough. Let me give it another 10 minutes. I think that'll be fine. Okay. So, when the OJ trial was going on, it was on every day. It dominated every single channel on television. It was all that anybody was ever talking about. But it was the soap opera. That's why they canceled all the soaps for a year and a half, because it was the soap opera. And I think that's what we have going on with these types of moves that Yang is doing right now, is that he wants to be the soap opera. He wants to be he knows he literally bragged that he's really good at math because he's Asian. He literally bragged about this, right? So he knows. I think this is entirely strategy at this point. This is entirely strategy to divide up all these people who are like, well, I hate the Democratic Party, because there's like, the GOP has been very effective at demonizing the Democratic Party. They've been very good at this. And the Democratic Party is terrible at messaging, right? This is one of the reasons that when I see hit campaigns go out against our politicians, I get really fucking pissed because I'm like, why the hell haven't you hired me yet? Because um, this, I can immediately combat this sort of conspiracy theory messaging against you. I can immediately combat that. Like, I fucking killed that thing yesterday. I destroyed that smear campaign because I contacted all the right people, I did all the right messaging, and I did it immediately. Republicans are also very good at doing that sort of shit. But yeah, I think what's happening with Yang right now is this is probably a counter to the Movement for the People's Party. They know, like I said, he's been on our friends lists since 2018. He's been basically a spy on our friends list since 2018. So he's been watching, or at least somebody, whoever has control of his account, has been watching and observing us for years. And so they are aware of the Movement for the People's Party. They are aware of Nick Brana. They are aware of the Jimmy Dore Network. They are aware of all of these things. They emulated it. They packaged it under Yang. He knows it's not going to go anywhere, but he's hoping he can make some money off of a book. And in the meantime, it further divides the voting base. And a lot of his concepts are right-wing, you guys. So you have to wonder, who is he really, like, which side is he on? That wasn't some bad messaging, by the way. Like, right before Bernie dropped out, it had come out with the whole, which side are you on messaging. That's a little too strong to go with directly as a campaign message. That's a little bit too strong. That's pretty divisive. But when you're talking about it on the background, when you have it organically rise up from your base and let your base kind of just do it, it's okay that way. But the candidate themselves, the campaign themselves, should not be saying that sort of bullshit. I texted Levy Sanders and I'm like, what the hell, dude? This messaging is not good. But yeah, there are certain people who are purporting themselves to be Democrats or purporting themselves to be leftists who are really right-wing. And Andrew Yang is one of those people. He always has been. I mean, the whole universal basic income, that actually is a libertarian concept. And his plan was, and probably still is, to deduct the existing social assistance that people are getting from the universal basic income check. So it's really a handout to upper middle class. It's not actually going to advance any of the impoverished people. It won't do that. And you know who else was out there pushing universal basic income? Mark Zuckerberg. There was a time, I think it was like 2017, when he was touring the country trying to tip his toe in the water and consider whether he could run for president. I don't know if y'all remember that, but there was a time, and his platform included universal basic income. So don't get too excited when you hear candidates talk about that, because it's actually, when they say they want to do universal basic income, what they're talking about is destroying social programs in order to fund that. It's not what you think it is. It's not like in addition to the social programs. It is instead of. So be careful when you promote that concept.